Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by and checking out the chicken coop here. I'll tell you, I'm out here early on and doing the morning chores and making this decision back and forth with these juvenile birds. We had the pallet coop, we called it, had a breach in security, and I think it was a fox that was getting in and got a bunch of our babies a few months back. And so I was going to just make this super simple mobile coop, and it has turned out to be a little less than simple. And so I'm finally at what I hope to be the finishing up end of the project. I need to figure out some fasteners to get the roof onto the frame here, and I need to finish securing this chicken wire to the hardware cloth here that I have below. And ideally I'd like to have more hardware cloth here, but I think that this is gonna just do it. We've been housing our juvenile chickens since that time when the pallet coop I got overwhelmed, and I was like, okay, I don't want to use this for the chickens anyways. It's kind of wonky. You can see that on a different video. But so they've been in the pole barn, in our one bathroom in the pole barn, which makes it so that I can't use it for my holistic wellness shop, because it's hard to have a spa-like environment with a bunch of chickens in your bathroom doing what chickens love to do. So I'm going to give you a chicken coop tour of this project. Again, I think it should have been way simpler. I thought that by utilizing a lot of the resources I had around the homestead that I could get away with spending less money and make it just easy to throw together on a whim. And for budget reasons, I guess I can't complain too much, because I would have needed the the hardware cloth in any event. But I used some, I still don't know the name for it, this plasticized type 2x4 here that is often used in decking materials. I use that for two sides of the frame only, because that's what I had, and it should prevent some of the rotting that would otherwise go on. But then I used, for the main part of the box, I used 3 pallets that then I tacked onto the frame, reinforced it a little bit, and then I used some plywood of various thicknesses here for the remaining parts of the box, as well as some pieces of heavy-duty plexiglass that I've had lying around. So just a kind of a quick little perimeter here, and it's got a lot of drafty spaces, which is good for 3 seasons, but in this climate, we're going to definitely need to wrap this in the cold seasons if we do intend to use this through the cold. I didn't end up putting a window back here. I thought about it, but it's, I didn't want to mess around with it. I didn't have the right tools to cut that, and so I just used the ones that I could fit in with pallets, and have this hardware cloth again. And so there should be a lot of daylight getting in there, a lot of ventilation, and a lot of ease and simplicity when we're going to look in and see what's going on the inside without having to access the coop either. You can hear the juveniles in the pole barn right now. We're right next to them. So here we have a view of underneath the roof. Again, this isn't on there yet. It's just 2 pieces of reused sheet metal. And it does have some pre-holes in it. I'm not going to worry too much about that for right now. If it becomes a problem, I'll try to plug up the ones that are over the box, but probably they're not going to be a big deal. Because we only have lumber and frame around the box area, and then right up here across the front, there's really no way for the sheet metal to get tacked on to actual lumber here. If you look at the sides, I don't know if we can get a good shot here. It doesn't flush up here. There's a gap. And so I'm planning on using this really thin lumber, which I may regret, because in the past I've tried to drill into it and it has been just splits right apart. But I'm just going to use it for a spacer and a nailer if I can get that to tack in there, and then hopefully secure this sheet metal down so strong winds won't peel it off or use it to make it inoperable. Also, I forgot to say, I'm still trying to figure out what to do for the outside gate. The pre-existing wooden gate that I have that I was thinking of using here is temporarily blocking out one of our broody hens over there, making her a little side of her coop. She went broody, but we didn't want to deal with her hatching out eggs this late in the season, so we bought her 3 pullets from the store, and she's happy as can be over there. So let's look in the box. I did a few different things with the door. Most people that are familiar with building practices, this will probably drive you nuts, but again, I had some different pieces of lumber and plywood, and I did buy a few extras. But yeah, the notch, I'm not sure if I'm gonna cover this up. I think we're gonna use one of those door handle lockers right here that it's like up is the open position and then it folds down and holds this on both sides. I don't know what one of those is called. We didn't secure this plexiglass in there either. And the door, I did something a little bit different. We wanted to have some kind of a Dutch door operation. And because of the various layering we have up here with the different wood, I noticed as I tried to make everything flush up that there were gaps. And so I covered a few gaps here down below with this little tacked on piece, which is almost insignificant. I don't know if it helps a lot or not. And on the hinge over here, we do have a little bit of excess here to help support the hinge. So the door, this being way thinner plywood than I gave it credit for at first. If something did gain access into the coop and had some nails, it could probably scratch through this within just a night, honestly. So I'm thinking about also making a little hatch from the piece that goes in here and just having it flip down on the opposite side and latch or flip here, or to nail it onto the door or glue onto the door so when it shuts it flushes that up. But this actually, if you see over in the corner, this actually has an overlap. And I'm not sure if we're going to love that, but generally, if we're going to use the Dutch door, it would be to open the bottom for the birds and not the top like in the winter. But my daughter pointed out to me that what if we want to get into the coop and we don't want the birds to get out, it'd be easier to open just the top. And so that's why maybe the hatch would be handy. If the hatch were not attached to the door, it could stay on here. So anyways, it does, the way that it's overlapped, it allows for the single hand operation to open, but the close would have to be on the bottom. So it leaves a little to be desired, but I like working with what I have. So yeah, we had to reinforce the hinge on this inside here as well, just to make sure that was going to be on there nice and tight. Let me crawl in. The inside of the coop is pretty cozy. It's a little bit short. It's tall enough for me, but not my hair generally. So once we get this on all the way, I think it'll be just fine. In the winter, probably the ground will start rising up as the layers of deep litter start to accumulate, and it'll be a little bit more necessary to bend over when we come in here. But I think that I put the nesting boxes quite low here, and I know I showed these on a previous video, but I'm thinking about doing some other improvements here. These were intended to slide, but I'm just recognizing that this isn't a fantastic idea because they're gonna fill right up. But anyways, we'll see how they like the lower nesting boxes, because sometimes the high ones are problematic when we have broody hens. And here we have just a few roosting sticks and whatnot around the base. I haven't secured them all into place necessarily. And just some extra pieces of plywood here, or paneling actually, to cover the draft. And there's the door. So yeah, we get a lot of sunlight in here, as you can see, a lot of breeze and open air, which is pretty nice. So the only other thing that is really something I wish I would have pre-planned a bit better for is how to get wheels on this thing, because it's going to be way too heavy. I'd like to make some kind of a pivot arm that you can use to jack it up, if you understand what I mean. So you'd like maybe lift it by a handle at the same time as pushing a foot pedal down that would drop, and it would be on a cotter pin arm. So you'd release the cotter pin so that the wheel could free drop down as you lift up, and then push with the pedal and then drop it in place and put the new cotter pin in or something like that. But I'm not a pro at that, so it's going to be for temporarily. I think getting this from the driveway over to the coop, we're going to utilize some old school physics and try to use leverage to prop up the top, pull the trailer underneath, and then if I can't get it to push in, I may use the winch that's on the vehicle to get it loaded into the trailer, and then unloading should be much easier. But yeah, by jacking it up and using long 2x4s and whatnot, I'm hoping I can get it loaded, and maybe I'll need some help. But yeah, so here we go. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was informative, and yeah, it's fun to do these kind of things. But yeah, it's always a little bit better when you can just buy the right stuff from the beginning. But I'm somebody who just likes to get things done, and it's sometimes fun to be more of a master builder than somebody who has to have a bunch of blueprints and stuff. So anyway, it's not everybody's style, but it was fun. So hope to see you guys back for the last of the unveiling and letting the chickens run in there, which should be hopefully coming out in a few days when I get the roof put on here, hopefully today, and secure around the area, get it loaded, unloaded, and put the chickens in, or maybe even today. So thanks for joining, and check out some of the other videos, and glad to have you along. Thanks, guys.